Oh my gosh, the opening for this game is so good. I can't wait to actually play the game. Oh man, that game was so much fun. I'm so glad I played it. Wait a second. Was this made in Microsoft PowerPoint? How a game begins and ends can leave an everlasting impact on how you remember your time playing it. Intros and title screens can help show you the vibe of the game and get you intrigued to see what you're gonna experience. I've made an entire video on some games' title screens which I love, and some which make me think I could do something better myself. At least it looks better than the NES. That video solely talked about title screens and the openings of games, but I haven't ever talked about any end credits for games. And to be honest, most people probably don't even think about them because they're just reflecting on the game they just beat and aren't paying attention to what's going on the screen. Especially if the credits are just a black background with text scrolling down as if it's a movie. Why is anybody going to care about it? It's not going to make a bad game experience finally be good. This is the best part of the game! Credits are an afterthought for most games, as it's mainly just there to give credit to everyone who worked on the game. It could easily be a black screen like a movie and nobody would care for the most part. But I'm not most people. I don't want something basic. I want an entire animated parade of all the characters in the game. Oh my fuck. When I think of the greatest end credits for any game I've ever played, this is immediately the first thing that comes to my mind. It has everything you could ever ask for, and then some. Even the way the game wraps up and builds to the credits with the cuts to different areas of the world and characters you met throughout your journey is such a cute way to show the world coming to its conclusion. Even though Booster somehow was afraid to marry Valentina, which I will never get. You look like a milk dud that started to melt, yet you don't want to marry a giant woman with massive boobs who has a dumb bird as her sidekick? If you won't take her, sign me up. It finally culminates with Luigi making his only appearance of the game to lead a parade of toads playing instruments and floats carrying all the different characters and enemies from the game. All of them have so much charm and care put into them, as it's not just them walking across the screen, but they all have little animations they do and funny or unexpected things happen, like Bowser being stolen from and Smithy smashing his followers. Then it transitions to nighttime with lights on all the floats for a completely different style. Part of me wanted this entire parade to be reanimated in the remake, but I do love how it starts in the old style, and then when the parade transitions to night, Geno comes in, that a graphic switch to the new style. Along with the music changing to a modern sound as well, everything about this is done perfectly. And touching on the music again, it's genuinely a top 3 or so credits theme ever. It captures that feeling of celebration and happiness of saving the world with everyone ending happily. There was nothing else I could have asked for from them in these credits, except a post-credit scene making Geno connected life so that he could be added into Smash Bros. Come on, Nintendo! The only game that comes even close to this would be, oh look, it's this game's sequel. Paper Mario does nearly the exact same thing, except Luigi was in the game before the credits this time. Thank God. Just like Mario RPG, it's a parade of all the characters throughout the game with incredible music behind it. Although I will say I prefer the Mario RPG music overall. I still love how Paper Mario's music changes throughout to reflect the music from the different areas of the game as the parade reaches that chapter. And the different animations of characters shown throughout the parade are better than Mario RPG. But that also might be because I prefer the overall game of Paper Mario over RPG, and I'm never afraid to show my bias. And I prefer Thousand Year Door even more over the first Paper Mario, so I'm sure I'm gonna love its credits even more. Are you seeing this? What the fuck is this? With such amazing credits in the last game, how could they have messed it up this badly? Like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not terrible, there are way worse. But in comparison to what came before, this is almost more disappointing than playing Sticker Star the first time. I said almost. At least in the remake on the Switch, they made it closer to the original even though it's not a parade. It's set up like the end of a play with all the characters coming out and has fun animations like Paper Mario and Mario RPG. And this makes so much sense since so much of this game kind of feels like it's part of a stage play with the curtain coming down on battles and stuff like that. This is a significant upgrade, especially with the music too. It's so much more upbeat and happier and feels like a celebration, while the original's credits kinda just felt like a funeral. At least it prepared us for what was to come. In a similar style to this end of play cast call A Thousand Year Door did, one of my favorite games from my childhood did it the same way in Banjo-Kazooie. Sure, it happened before the final boss and it didn't end with a thank you for playing message, and somehow it made Bottle seem likable, but damn it, these are the true credits of the game, so take any criticism of yours and shove it up your ass. That was rhetorical! The way each character is shown specifically with their name, each speaking in their funky gibberish voice to say the names of the people who worked on the game, was such a fun and unique way of recognizing each developer, and gives you a reason to watch as you can finally cheer once Flibbit is on screen. I'm sure with such a fantastic idea and beloved part of the game, the sequel will definitely have the same thing. What the f***? is this? Where the heck are my character names? No wonder they never made a Banjo 3E. In all seriousness, these credits aren't bad, as they're still way better than just a black background with the words showing up. At least there are animated scenes of the different areas in the game, so it's perfectly fine. But compared to the first game, this is a major downgrade the same way the Thousand Year Door's original one was. But if you do want to see an even bigger downgrade, let's go take a look at the game that shall not be named. When you beat the final boss, the game has a cutscene and then just ends. There's no credits and just goes back to the title screen. I told you this game sucks, even the developers didn't want their names attached to it at the end. Only bright side is this gives you more time to take the game out and put in something better. I said something better! Coming from a series that is one of the greatest title screens of all time with the original Halo, this is the biggest disappointment for the ending of the trilogy. I could have made this myself back in my middle school computer lab in like an afternoon. And you're telling me this was made by arguably the most wealthy corporation in the entire world? Clearly I'm putting in too much effort into my YouTube videos if this was good enough for Microsoft. And it's not like they did this for all of the games. No, Halo 1's credits are almost a copy of the title screen, so it's beautiful and amazing. So why the fuck did they not put that effort into the final game? Ah, that's why, because they knew they were going to make more to milk this franchise for all it's worth. This is why I'm a Nintendo fan. They'd never do that. You know, maybe Microsoft really isn't so bad. So I don't blow a fuse thinking negatively about Nintendo, let's switch gears and look at some that are actually good. Fire Emblem is a series that a lot of people think negatively for a very valid reasons of putting the same character in Smash Bros 10 times, but the games are legitimately very good if you're not a loser and actually play the games for more than 5 minutes. Three Houses was my introduction to the franchise, and the game was phenomenal and the ending stuck with me ever since. You get a series of stories about the future lives of all the characters you recruited, and even shows how some of them got married and spend their lives together if you had the connections high enough for them. It's such a nice touch and helps build the world even more and gives the characters even more development than they already have, which is insane in a game that has like 100 hours of just character dialogue in it. And the music that plays is a remix of the main Fire Emblem theme, along with aspects of several songs throughout the game, is legitimately one of my favorite songs in any game ever. The way it starts with music from the game and then builds to the main theme gives me legitimate goosebumps even as someone who had never played a Fire Emblem game before this. Sure, it does then go into a black background, classic credits, but the build up to it makes it more bearable and it plays the main Three Houses theme's Edge of Dawn, so it's amazing. I will not let any of you psychos tell me Three Houses isn't the best Fire Emblem. Sure, I may have only played like 4 of them now and I'm biased because it was my first, but you can shut up. Credits that are just a normal staff roll down a black background are some of the most boring, but they can be done very well if the music is good and the lead up to it makes you feel emotional. This is something that Final Fantasy games do extremely well. Yep, it's time for your daily rant by yours truly about how amazing RPGs are, and you're gonna listen! Before I mention any of these games, there will be spoilers for the Final Fantasies that I mentioned, so skip to the time below if you don't want to have anything spoiled for you. Or you could grow up and have already played each of these games since they are all over 20 years old except for one of them. But to be fair, a good portion of you watching are probably younger than these games, which just makes me feel older than I already am. Starting with the saddest ending to any game ever, we have Final Fantasy X. I won't mention the part that makes every grown man cry, but the game ends with an emotional speech by Yuna in front of a large crowd giving hope to the people of Spira. Then a cut to different scenes with the party members ending with Yuna saying to never forget the dreams that have faded. Might just seem like a powerful message to the people listening, but when you've played the game and know the actual meaning of what she's saying there, it hits you like a truck. And the song that plays when the credits roll is the same song that plays in one of the most beautiful scenes earlier in the game, which hits your emotions even more like a truck because of how the game ended. It is kind of hard to explain why this ending credits is so amazing without spoiling the story, so just go ahead and play the game if you haven't. They remastered it on basically every system nowadays, so you have no excuse, unless you're poor, in which case, get your money up, brokey. I do have to throw my 2 cents in here quickly about the scenes that flash quickly when Yuna's given her speech. Why do we have to see her kiss Seymour? I don't like this. Let's go back 2 years to the previous Final Fantasy next, and my personal favorite game ever, Final Fantasy IX. The ending is of course emotional, albeit quite not on the same level as 10, but when the camera pans out to the wide shot of Alexandria and the song Melodies of Life starts playing, that was something that I will never forget. And it at first appears to just be a basic black screen credits, but nope! There are different shots from the CGI cutscenes of the game to remind you of the journey that you just completed. It brings back all the memories and emotions you felt and why this game is just perfection. I've said before, I don't think this game needs a remake, but if they did, I just want it to be in the graphical style of the CGI cutscenes from this game. I don't need a hyper-realistic game. I think that would take away from the charm of it. Plus, I need Zidane to still look like a fucking idiot, or else I'm never buying it. The newest Final Fantasy game, what I think is the best game in the franchise, does something very similar to 9. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has a very emotional and also confusing as fuck ending, but that's also kind of the point. The credits roll with Aerith's song from the Golden Saucer, which is also essentially the game's main theme. With the story of the game and how it ends, this song hits different and hits you even differently if you're in love with her like me. Sorry, Valentina. I've got bigger fish to fry. The credits roll again with scenes throughout the game, except there's like 50 times more than Final Fantasy IX because this game is like 50 million hours long and it shows literally every cutscene in the game. Except when we get to the end and there's this weird gap where it looks like cutscenes are missing for some reason. I don't want to get too into theories or talk for why I think this is, as I could go on for like 3 hours. So I'll keep that for my review of Rebirth, which I hope will be out before part 3 of the remake trilogy comes out in 2027. Or if that's already released, because I never know the order which I decide to make and release videos, go watch that movie of a video and see why the ending is so well done and why these missing cutscenes are so important. But of all the Final Fantasies we're talking about today, the best end credits has to be Final Fantasy VIII. They all have emotional endings, and the previous two have nice cutscenes from earlier in the game, but Final Fantasy VIII does something different. The cutscenes it plays during the credits aren't from earlier in the game. They are completely unique and take place after the game to show the characters interacting. Think of Three Houses, but actually animated and not a short novel for each of the 50 characters. We get to see Selphie steal Irvine's hat, see Quistis the goat actually animated, see Cid, who I still don't know how he managed to pull a Dia, but I need to know his secrets, and Zell finally got his hot dogs that he was asking for. The way it's shot like a home movie on a camcorder gives such a personable feel, and it feels real. And how it ends showing Rinoa as the battery on the camera dies is such a nice little cliffhanger before the final real cutscene after the credits. Such a well done ending despite the many issues I do have with the game and its story at places. This is maybe my favorite credits of any game. This is why I say we need a Final Fantasy VIII remake instead of Final Fantasy IX. Or maybe they could just remake Triple Triad and release it as its own game. Give me every copy right now. Let's shift from one of my favorite franchises to one of my other favorite franchises, The Legend of Zelda. Wind Waker has very simple credits under the water, which fits the game being over a giant ocean with little air bubbles of each of the characters' faces floating up. It uses the same theme that the title screen plays, which just makes the whole game feel well-rounded. You've heard the song countless times when opening up the game, but once you've played the game and know that this theme relates to the Earth and Wind Sages and their songs they play, it hits you differently and already feels nostalgic when you literally just finished the game. It's a very simple yet effective credits. Music really can play a huge role in turning something basic into an amazing masterpiece. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Twilight Princess all follow the same concept of showing different areas of the game during the credits with music changing slightly to represent the specific areas. It's such a simple touch, but it makes a world of a difference over just a black screen. And Ocarina of Time does it the best when it gets a little celebration and the Lost Forest theme plays. That's the part of this credits that's stuck in my mind for almost 25 years now. When I think of Zelda, this is legitimately one of the first things that comes to my mind, which is insane as it has nothing to do with the gameplay or story. It's just the characters having fun and celebrating defeating evil. Skyward Sword also follows this template, which I love since it's the first and only time in the entire game that the main Zelda theme plays. But it does something different like Final Fantasy VIII. It shows us cutscenes of Zelda going through her journey after she fell to the ground at the beginning of the game, and we finally get to see what she went through as we were chasing after her as Link. It helps connect the story fully and show why she had such a close connection with the old lady who definitely doesn't have a name and would spoil one of the cooler twists at the end of this game, so I'm definitely not going to say anything and I'm going to keep talking like this. But if you've played literally any Zelda game ever, you can probably guess what her name is without even looking at her just by knowing she helps Zelda. Ooh, I know, it's Ganondorf! Most of the older Zelda games and 2D Zelda games have more basic credits, but I do love A Link Between Worlds. It shows all the characters with the music changing for each character and is on the same level as the 3D games. I've always said I'm much more of a 3D game lover over 2D, but this game is phenomenal, and if you have a 3DS, you should play it. And the final 3D Zeldas, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, follow the same template of pictures of all the characters you care about and music changing for each region of the world. And then each character's signature theme plays when they show up too. I kinda wish they were animated or showed cutscenes instead of just still images, but the music makes up for it and the games are phenomenal overall, so I can't knock it too many points. Just enough points to make sure Skyward Sword stays above them both forever. Can't make that mistake again. And along this same style of showing different areas in the game with amazing music, I gotta quickly mention Mario 64. My first video game ever, and this song is still my favorite song from the game and is a perfect representation of the game and the most memorable end credits theme of all time. Fight me on it, say this game is overrated all you want. I might even agree with you, but this song fits exactly the feeling of satisfaction, appreciation, accomplishment, sadness of being done, happiness of your experiences, and everything in between. It's perfect. So there you go. Now you can stop saying I only shit on older games and series that I love. Okay, now that that's all the way, we can all agree that Mario Sunshine's credits are way better, right? I love the slideshow of all the characters finally getting to enjoy their vacation as it was stopped by that bitch-ass turtle, and the Cheery Island song is the most fitting song of any game ever. Sorry Mario 64, but you can't hold this game's jockstrap. Not that you'd want to, but some games that can hold this game's jockstrap are the Donkey Kong games. Specifically Country and 64, since some of his games are... yeah. Since these games were made by Rare, they have a very similar style to Banjo-Kazooie where we get little show of all the characters in the game with their names. Well, in Country we do. Donkey Kong 64 is more similar to Banjo-Tooie. No wonder we never got another 3D Donkey Kong game after this shit. The formula was right there. You did it on the Super Nintendo, you did it on the Nintendo 64 with Banjo. Why the hell can't we just get perfect credits more than once per franchise? Well, I'm sure Retro Studios made up for it with Donkey Kong Country Returns. That's it, I'm calling the police. I need something good to brighten my mood after all that, so let's take a look at Xenoblade Chronicles. Oh, fuck off. For a game like this, all you did was a black screen? Thank God Xenoblade 3 made up for it with its DLC. Future Redeem's end credits, this was such a nice connection from the first two games. I'm sorry Xenoblade X, you deserve to be mentioned, I love you, but apparently Xenoblade Chronicles 3 doesn't love you. The credits show scenes from all three games to make it feel like the ending of an overarching story with characters you've loved for a decade at this point. That is assuming you played the first game on the Wii and not the definitive edition in 2020 on the Switch. I played both, plus one extra. It does have a bit of spoilers for the story for those two games, but I'm gonna be honest, if you played this DLC without playing the first two games, that's on you. That's like playing Mario Kart 8 and expecting not to be confused without playing the first 7. Okay, bad example, but you get my point. This was such a perfect ending to the trilogy, and the music caps it all off. I'm curious where the franchise will go from here because making a Xenoblade 4 would just kinda feel weird after this ending, so I think we all know the correct choice. Xenoblade Chronicles X2. I've talked about a lot of games I love, but we haven't even touched on the series of games that I've played more than anything. Pokemon actually has a few games, not too many, but a few games with good end credits. I will always have a soft spot for Gold and Silver along with the remakes. They were the first Pokemon games I ever played, and the music is so upbeat, and my favorite theme from the games and the different little animated Pokemon that it cycles between is so adorable. And the remake added little animations of Pokemon and gym leaders across the screen, it genuinely makes up for half of the game being dirt easy. Music is something Pokemon credits nail every time, but the best of them is easily Pokemon Black and White. The build up to it with end speech and the cut to the logo as it blasts in to make you forget that the rest is just text scrolling on a blank background. This game had so much love put into it that I can't believe they forgot to make the credits not stupid as fuck, but I'll give you a pass for such good music and being the best main theme in any Pokemon game by a mile. But if we're going to get very technical here, the best Pokemon credits is from the newest games, Scarlet and Violet. Okay, I might be stretching it a little here with best, but I love the little postcards and stamps across all the Paldea region. I will say though, why the fuck is Ed Sheeran singing this song? I like the song, but it caught me so off guard when I beat the game and then all of a sudden I had a ginger yelling in my ear. It ends on the picture that you and your friends took together, which is such a cute touch since this is the only game in the series where I actually care about my rivals and you feel like a real friend group. People can hate on the performance and the lagginess of this game all they want. They have some valid points, but they can't deny that this legit has one of the better stories and characters of the whole Pokemon franchise. To be fair, that's not hard to do when most of the character dialogue is just... But after mentioning all of those games and their credits, I now need to talk about my favorite kind of end credits that I've only seen in a very select few games. That would be games where you can destroy or break the developers' names as they scroll or appear on screen. My first thought when this concept gets brought up is the adventure mode in Smash Bros. Melee. Yes, Ultimate tries to capture the same feeling, but let's not kid ourselves, this was just thrown in here for nostalgia's sake and not to be fun. Melee's actually was animated with a cool idea of shooting the names from a first-person perspective like you're in a spaceship for Star Fox. I would replay the adventure mode as a kid just to play this. It's more fun than it has any right to be and is exactly what a perfect end credit should be. Well, it would be the perfect end credits if there wasn't one game that did it even better. That would be the one game that is the ultimate passion project from Sony, Astrobot for the PlayStation 5. It's essentially an entire new level to platform through where you get to use all the power-ups from the game and jump around and destroy all of the developers' names as they appear on screen. I cannot stress enough how amazing this is along with the music that plays. It feels like a full-on celebration of the PlayStation brand. Honestly, that's how this whole game feels, just a big party remembering how amazing Sony can be. I say can be because let's not forget this is the same company that tried to sell a slightly more powerful console without a disc drive for $700. And did I buy it? No, of course not! I have standards. There are a few other games that have sort of interactive credits like this, like the new Super Mario Bros. Games, for example, but none of them get even close to the same level as this. End credits are such an important part of any game, even if it only lasts like 5 minutes. But 5 minutes is a long time, come on, that's what my fiance tells me. Some of my favorite memories of games are just sitting back to the music and reminiscing on the adventure. And sure, you can do that on a black screen, but why would you want to do that when you can play an entirely new level while jamming out to some of the best music you've ever heard? Who would have thought in the big old 2025 I'd be giving more props to PlayStation than Nintendo? Me! Giving credit to PlayStation? What kind of planet are we on? Is hell freezing over?
Nope, I just live in Wisconsin.